Hi, I'm Katie Ziskind. I own Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching. You can learn more about intimacy specialists, how to improve your marriage, and build meaningful connection through sexual health at wisdomwithinct.com. In this video, we're going to talk all about sex toys. One big thing that we need to talk about first when it comes to sex toys, and this is my puppy as well, you might see her in this video, hello, um, is kind of are overcoming some myths around sex toys. A lot of times, a partner might feel resistant to using a sex toy in an intimate experience because they feel like it means they're inadequate. So the first thing to know is that using a sex toy with your partner or by yourself does not mean you're inadequate, doesn't mean you're not skilled. It means that you're using additional supports, right? And you're like using all of the toys possible. So think of a pilot driving a plane. That pilot needs like at least two flight attendants to make sure everyone has their refreshments, and the pilot can't step away from driving the plane to help someone if they need luggage support or a question. So think of your sex toys like the flight attendants on the airplane, and you're, as the human, you're the pilot. So you're kind of figuring out when to use the sex toys, how to use them, where on the body you like to use them, what timing within a sexual experience to use them. So think of sex toys as benefiting a partner or individual sexual experience rather than this like myth of, oh, if you have to use a sex toy, that means you're a bad lover. Or so we really want to overcome some of these limiting beliefs around the use of sex toys. Another important thing to talk about when it comes to sex toys is building confidence. So a lot of times we grow up with shame. We're told that she's about a year and a half old, so you'll see her flopping around. This is Poppy. But you'll kind of hear these thoughts that oh, like I shouldn't be buying sex toys. That's a bad thing. Or I'm cheating on my partner if I'm using a sex toy by myself. So like we have these shameful beliefs, these limiting beliefs that we bring into sexual experiences. And part of using sex toys is building sexual confidence. So it doesn't mean the sex toy has to make you have an orgasm or the sex toy is bought with a specific outcome in mind. A sex toy is, just like an adult toy, that you would use anytime you want to engage in adventure, in play, in mystery, in a experience that doesn't have to end in a specific way or with a certain goal in mind. So even if you use, let's say, a vibrator, whether that's in, self-pleasure or that's in a partnership experience, it doesn't have to be used to force an orgasm or anything like that. It literally can just be like a fun thing used for a short period of time or used multiple times, or we just see how they work. Every time is different, and so the first step is to buy some sex toys. So this means you have to have a little budget, a little hobby spending budget. So and once you purchase them, they can last for years, depending on the frequency of use. The next thing is that a lot of sex toys are waterproof, which is great, but they do need to be charged before each use. So make sure that your sex toys are fully charged. Once you get them, charge them, have a little charging station, just like you would for your cell phone or a laptop, and kind of have a little organization and discipline around making sure they're charged before use. Because you could be having this amazing experience, want to use a sex toy, and the battery has died because they're smaller battery lives. They're not really intended to last 12 hours. They may have a 90-minute battery life. So if you've used it for one experience, make sure to have it charged and ready to go for the next experience in preparation. The next thing to note is that with many sex toys, especially ones that go on or inside the vulva and vagina, is that you will need to use lubrication. So just like you would buy some jelly or some silicone lube, these things are important to use on your sex toys too. It's going to prevent chafing, prevent, a pain, kind of, sometimes there can be rubbing or dryness. So always use a lubricant if you are inserting a sex toy of any size or any kind into your vagina. There are all different types of sex toys, right? So we have like dildos that often look like, a penis, and those can be inserted into all different holes, the anus, the vagina. We also have, butt plugs. So a silicone butt plug is going to be a little bit more gentle than like a metal or a glass toy. And then when it does come to inserting anything into your anus, it is really important to know that the anus is a vacuum. So think of anything that you are putting up your butt, up your anus, needs to have a wider base. So a lot of butt plugs will have a very large base, maybe even a little bit larger than the toy or the same size as the toy, and they'll be tapered. So the large base prevents your anus from sucking the toy completely inside. So it can still provide pleasure, but you're not in danger of needing to go to the emergency room after using a butt plug. If you put anything inside your anus, make sure it has a larger base, and that can avoid some injury as well. Some people like to have penetration with a butt plug in. Some people like to have all different types of play. Some people like to, kind of play with this like playful kinky side of, okay, well, I'm going to wear a butt plug to the grocery store and only my partner is going to know. And there's kind of this element of pleasure and secrecy of like us against the world. There are also some great toys that stimulate specifically the G spot. So that is an area that's about 2 to 3 inches inside a female's vagina, and some toys specifically can stimulate that, and that can promote squirting and the female ejaculation system and a lot of wetness. There are also some great toys if you are in a long distance relationship where you may not physically be in the same place. Maybe your partner is in college or they're in school and they have to physically be on the campus and you're at home or you're somewhere else. So no matter how far away you are, there are sex toys that you can link via Wi-Fi and via an app so that one partner can control the toy from however far they are away and can provide their partner with pleasure. So that can be really fun for long distance couples and can create a level of sexual connection, even though you may not physically be able to touch each other's bodies. So you can kind of talk, you can be on the phone while doing something like that. We also have some toys that may lie on the edge of pain. So some people like to have a small to a large. We're going to talk more about the small amount of pain in this video, but a small amount of pain when receiving pleasure. So when we receive pain and pleasure, oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin are all released in the brain. So there is a whole spectrum when we look at pain, but a small amount of pain can come from something like a nipple clamp. Some people really like having their nipples and breasts played with. This is an erogenous zone. Playing with the nipples and breasts can release large amounts of oxytocin in the brain. It can also create orgasm for many women, and provide a lot of pleasure and it's a very sensitive and sensational area. So for some women and men as well, like to, I would just say all genders, to be inclusive, all genders may like to play with nipple clamps. So they're all different types. You can play with ones that are adjustable, some that have, heavier weights on them. And you can also play with, different styles, colors, chains, different things that work for you, and different positions can make them more sensational, such as, wearing them being on all fours versus laying on the back. So there can be a degree of pain combined with pleasure that you might like to play with. So really what I'm saying is that there are so many different types of sex toys. We've only discussed maybe 3 or 4 in this video, but what I want you to do is go online, browse some websites, see what turns you on, what causes you to feel excited. Bed restraints can be a fun one. They're all different things, and you can also use things around your house as a sex toy. I once knew someone that used a chopstick as a sex toy, and the person had to keep the chopstick between their knees as kind of like a task, but also kind of a boundary. So there can be these fun kinky things. You can play with feathers, the sensation of silks and different fabrics on the body. You can also play with I think outfits and attire. Different types of dress up can play into sex toys, and That can be a fun thing to toy around with. Even ice cubes can be, a form of a sex toy. We have edibles like food, so like whipped cream. It is important to note though, when playing with food, we do want to avoid any sugary substances from being near or entering the vagina. So the vagina has its own pH and its own culture. So any type of sugar will throw that off and can lead to, UTIs and yeast infections and other medical issues. So if you are playing with food, maybe you're putting chocolate syrup, on, let's say, the upper body, but it's not moving lower than the belly button, because we do have to think when standing up, some of that can drip down. We do not want any sugar near the vagina area. So that's just a note for you to keep in the back of your mind as you are playing with, different edible substances on the body. So if you have any questions, you want to work in a private one-on-one setting, talk about different fears or apprehensions you have coming up around sex toys, or, have certain questions of how to use a sex toy, or, how to get your partner to want to engage and play with you if they're feeling resistant or have a trauma history. Individual sessions and couple sessions can be really beneficial. So if you want to improve your relationship and your sex life, you can book a free phone consultation to work with myself or someone on my team at wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com.